Welcome back. Round 6 of Norway Chess 2026 marked the start of the second half of the tournament, with colours reversed from the first cycle. It was also one of the most decisive rounds so far. Wesley took over first place. Magnus Carlsen struck back against tournament leader Firouzja, and Vincent Keymer finally stored his first full classical win of the event. Our first game is Wesley against Pragg. After beating Magnus Carlsen in the previous round, Wesley had a chance to put pressure on the standings. Pragg, meanwhile, was looking to recover from a painful loss to Gukesh. Pragg launched an ambitious kingside attack with pawn to g5. Wesley responded calmly and found the right defensive setup. Knight takes e4 and later pawn to f3 disrupted Black's attacking plans and shifted the game toward a more balanced struggle. The critical moment came when knight to c4 brought White's pieces to ideal squares. Wesley later said this was the moment he really liked his position. The attack was gone, the knight was active, and the endgame favored White. The game eventually reached a rook and knight endgame where Pragg was defending a pawn down position. For a long time, Black was close to holding, but precise defense became increasingly difficult as time ran down. The decisive mistake came when Black played knight to e5. This allowed White to activate his rook, attack the passed pawn, and simplify into a winning ending. From there, Wesley converted with impressive technique. A second straight classical victory moved Wesley to 11.5 points and into sole first place. Pragg suffered his second consecutive classical loss and dropped to last place in the standings. Next came one of the most anticipated games of the tournament. Magnus Carlsen against Firouzja. Firouzja had led the event since round 1, when he defeated Carlsen in classical chess. This was Magnus's opportunity to strike back. Carlsen surprised Firouzja early with knight to c3. After the game, Magnus described it as an old-fashioned choice that led to positions he understood well. More importantly, it allowed him to play quickly and confidently. The turning point arrived when Firouzja captured on e5. Carlsen immediately seized the initiative and began calculating a forcing sequence that exposed weaknesses in Black's position. Queen to d7 was the key move. The queen penetrated deep into Black's position, and suddenly White had the more active pieces, better coordination, and a lasting advantage. As the game continued, Firouzja found himself defending a difficult pawn-down position while trailing badly on the clock. Against Carlsen, that is usually a dangerous combination. Magnus steadily improved his pieces and never allowed counterplay. Firouzja eventually resigned, giving Carlsen an important classical victory. The result ended Firouzja's time as tournament leader and lifted Magnus back into contention. With 4 rounds still remaining, the chase was very much alive. The final game featured Vincent Keymer against world champion Gukesh. Keymer entered the round without a single match win in either classical or Armageddon, despite several promising positions earlier in the tournament. Gukesh chose an ambitious approach and soon allowed White to keep an extra pawn. Keymer responded with knight to f3, accepting the return of the b-pawn later in exchange for active pieces and long-term pressure. The game remained tense. Although computer evaluations suggested Black had drawing chances, Keymer believed that being a pawn up in a long game gave him serious practical winning opportunities. A major turning point came after rook to g6. Keymer felt this was the moment the position became genuinely difficult for Black. White consolidated the extra pawn and gradually improved every piece. Pawn to f4 was the breakthrough. The move increased White's space, restricted Black's pieces, and gave Keymer a clear plan. From here the advantage grew steadily. The final move of the game was pawn to f6. With connected passed pawns and complete control, Keymer forced resignation and secured his first classical victory of the tournament. That single win moved Vincent Keymer all the way into third place. It was a reminder of how heavily Norway chess rewards classical victories. After weeks of near misses, Keymer finally turned a promising position into the full 3 points. After 6 rounds, Wesley leads Norway Chess 2026 with 11.5 points. Firouzja remains within striking distance on 10 points despite his loss to Carlsen. Vincent Keymer climbs to third with 8 points, while Magnus Carlsen moves up to 7.5 and keeps his hopes alive. Gukesh and Pragg now have work to do in the final 4 rounds after difficult defeats. Round 7 promises another critical day. Pragg faces Firouzja in a game where both players badly need a win for different reasons. Vincent Keymer meets Magnus Carlsen in a clash between 2 players coming off important victories. And tournament leader Wesley takes on world champion Gukesh with first place on the line. We'll be covering every round of Norway Chess 2026, including the key games, standings updates, and tournament storylines. Subscribe so you don't miss any of the action, and let's see what round 7 brings.